Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Santoro. I'm the Director of Policy Research at the Department of Housing. I want to thank you for participating in today's State Agency Roundtable regarding the State of Connecticut 2023-2024 Action Plan for Housing and Community Development. Those of you who participated in our pre-draft roundtable, thank you for coming back. I hope everybody has had a chance to take a glance through our draft action plan. I'm going to hit some highlights in a minute. Let me put the agenda back up. Basically, this is a conversation. We want comments regarding our action plan. If you believe we need to hit something harder, please let us know. This is part of a 30-day open public comment period. We have done 2 public sessions already. One for the general public, one for our community partners. And we will be taking public comment through May 22nd, Laura. So written public comment. We will also take written comment from you or your agencies. Please feel free. Those comments can be sent either directly to me, michael.santoro@ct.gov, or to the CT Housing Plans email box, ct.housing.plans@ct.gov. Since he's here, I'm going to allow our Deputy Commissioner to say a few words if he so chooses, and then we'll get started. Deputy?
Good morning. Let's get to work.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the brevity. Okay. Please use the raise your hand function in Teams. If you don't know, top bar, there's a little thing looks like a hand. It says raise. If you click on that, you will come up in order for us to see. If you would prefer to write out a question in the chat or a comment, please feel free. But again, we are looking for written comment for the next almost 3 weeks, if you so choose. All right, switching gears here. Let me blow this up. I'm going to go over the budget real quick and then hit the highlights of our plan. And then we want to hear from you because I talk enough. This is really your opportunity to speak to us. If and when you do, please introduce yourself and the agency you represent, and know that we are all state agencies or state agency partners here. So please don't hold back. It's okay if you want to criticize us or praise us because we don't get enough of that. Anyway, what you see in front of you is the tables that appear in the actual action plan with regard to our budget. This plan, I will remind you, primarily addresses the 6 formula grant programs that the department receives from HUD, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. I will highlight those for you, understanding that these tables include other state resources that do the same or similar activities or support the activities of those 6 federal formula grant programs. RHP, more professionally known as the Community Development Block Grant Recovery Housing Program, HOME, the Home Investment Partnerships Program, Small Cities, CDBG, the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program, and NHTF, the National Housing Trust Fund. Again, you will see our state resources that do some of the same or similar things. These are our anticipated HUD allocations. We received a formal notice from HUD for all of these, with the exception of National Housing Trust Fund. HUD has not published the anticipated formula grant award for that program yet. Similarly, under individual and family services, the 2 programs that are covered are ESG, the Emergency Solutions Grant, and HOPA, Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS. Again, compared to investment, our state investments are significantly greater than our federal formula grants for these activities, but we are happy to leverage every federal dollar that we can. Rather than read all of these to you, I will explain the highlights that you see are those areas which are required to be covered in the action plan. Essentially, they are questions we need to answer in our action plan. So our action plan is drafted in that way. I'm going to just highlight a couple of them, particularly those where we have added an emphasis or modified a priority. So specifically, in the program year, the actions we intend to take to prevent homelessness basically support everything that we have been doing, including homeless outreach, improvements to our security deposit guarantee program, the implementation of rapid rehousing. We are significantly bolstering shelter diversion. We are supporting the coordinated access network, as well as looking for opportunities to create more permanent supportive housing. In particular, and I'll emphasize this, shelter diversion is a strategy that prevents homelessness, and our shelter diversion efforts are anticipated to ramp up in the coming year. Relative to emergency shelter transitional housing needs, basically this is a continuation of our current activities and programs. No real changes in this section. Relative to subpopulations, we hope to continue our strong collaboration with the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services through the use and implementation of the coordinated entry and exit system. The coordinated access has been a great tool for us, and we're expanding the way that it works and the way that people can enter and exit the system. And we hope that you will see some improvement along those lines in the coming year. This section is relatively important. We will prioritize investment, state and federal capital dollars for projects and activities that meet and underserved needs as demonstrated through opportunity mapping. For those of you who aren't familiar with opportunity mapping, we did a deep dive demographic and economic data breakdown of all the communities in the state to identify very high, moderate, low, and very low opportunity areas. We'll be trying to emphasize investment in the high and very high communities, i.e. those provide the most opportunity for economic growth and benefit to extremely low income population groups. And Brenda, I see you. Let me run through and finish real quick, and then we'll get to comment. With the governor's budget, we will be seeing a significant increase in the investment in the preservation and creation of affordable housing. When we talk about affordable housing, we're talking about low and moderate incomes. So that's incomes between 30 and 120% of area median income, both ownership and rental. Finally, we recently published our new analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. That AI is available. There are new action steps that are identified in that analysis that can be taken both at the state and the local level to overcome barriers to the creation and preservation of affordable housing. The one that is most important for this group, we continue to take actions to overcome gaps in infrastructural structures and enhance coordination. Basically, that means we want to do better working with you. With many of you, we have a great relationship. We do a lot of really good work. We want to see that not only continue, but improve. So we want to continue to look for new opportunities. There'll be a new initiative coming up in the new year between our agency and the Department of Education and the Department of Early Childhood. And more details on that will be rolling out. Finally, we want to talk about, or this plan talks about actions that we will take to reduce the number of persons living below the poverty level. We do that with all of our activities, and we do it in coordination and collaboration with the activities identified through the 2Gen initiative and consistent with the plans identified here which are also linked in our action plan. At this point, I'm going to shut up because we want to hear from you. Please raise your hand if you want to talk, and feel free. Don't hold back. Brenda,
Yes.
please introduce yourself, who you represent, and then you have the floor.
Thanks. Brenda Earls, so I'm with Demas in the Housing and Homeless Services Unit. I just was wondering, in that first paragraph, Mike, you had talked about homeless outreach. So I just want, because Demas has gotten quite a bit of kind of new funding and streamlining for outreach. So I just wanted to know what DOH was going to do around outreach as well.
And for a more detailed response, I'm going to refer to our Director of Individual and Family Support, Steve.
Sure.
I just want to make sure we're strategic, Steve.
Yeah, no, I think we know we are strategic. I think we have, or Demas received a whole bunch of the funds for the homeless outreach through the SNOFO, which is replacing some of our ESG CV. So this, is obviously covering the last 3 months of that ESG CV grant, because it's going to go into place for July 1st. But we have our funding in place through the end of September. In addition, we also have a little bit of funding available through our COC, which will specifically go to cover areas that weren't able to be covered with the SNOFO. So basically, Litchfield County.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
And John Slifka, please introduce yourself and go to town.
Thank you, my friend. Jonathan Slifka, representing the Department of Aging and Disability Services. I know I say the same things every year, but just wanted to ask again, given that our state is the 6th oldest, I think, in the country, and getting older, which means there's going to be more people in the state that have disabilities, which speak to accessibility issues. I wonder if you could speak to what you're doing to address those things. I know one of the things that I've mentioned in the past has been the concept of universal design in homes, to the degree that that's possible. I know, and I've heard from this group, that one of the pushbacks on that is aesthetics. And I have to tell you that when it comes to the aging and disability population, that aesthetics is, if we can't see the inside or get inside of a house, we don't care what it looks like. So aesthetics is not a concern or a priority to us. It's function and accessibility. So I wonder if you could speak to those elements in the plan as it stands today.
Absolutely not necessarily spelled out in any more greater detail than the plan, but I will tell you right now, we were working on a pilot to work with one, if not more than one, modular company here in the state of Connecticut to do just that, to basically come up with a standardized design and model that can essentially be replicated, again, with an emphasis on accessibility. So your message has been heard, and our commissioner is very interested in trying to get a pilot off the ground in that regard. We don't go to that detail in the plan, and typically we don't, just for that reason. But John, again, your message has been heard, and hopefully in the next year, we'll get some off the ground and you'll actually be able to see some movement in that direction. But thank you. Appreciate the fact that you continue to put that on the table, and continue to help us to prioritize and focus. So thank you for those comments, both now and in the past. Anybody else? Please feel free. We took a lot of your input from the pre-draft session into consideration in the crafting of this plan, as well as the more detailed initiatives, as I just talked about, as we go forward in the coming year. Tammy, please introduce yourself and go to town.
Hi, Tamara Lopez, Department of Social Services. I had a question about the study that we did. Oh, everything blurs together now. But it was a study that was done to try to get a sense of accessibility in Connecticut and the ancillary housing out there.
Yep.
I don't remember what happened? Because I was a part of
Um,
the beginning, and then
so-
I don't know.
So that study is up on the department's website, and the data generated is also available for use. It's if you go to Afford CT on the department's website, you can access the raw data as well as the GIS mapping. Tells you what is, where is, and there's a corresponding report with that that talks about where we need what we need in fairly significant detail. And we are working with the development community to try to prioritize activities in those areas.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was one of my questions. And then a second statement that I have that I'm just gonna share. So I've only been slightly privy to some discussions happening here at the department in regards to another consideration for another program that may have ties to food security and housing. And so that discussion kind of is taking place outside of my purview, but I just wanted to bring it up. I did talk with our director and share the draft plan with him recently, just to say, hey, there's an opportunity for potential alignment depending on what's coming down the pike. Now, we don't want to mirror what's happening with chess. We want to still support chess as a program and then see how this other program may also work. So it's kind of a combination of things, but trying to kind of just find a little bit of a some synergy between what's happening over there, what could be happening in future programs, and what's happening in current programs. As you know, chess is we're still kicking. We're not letting go. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna try to flip it around. So
And that's great, Tammy. Thank you. And Steve, I'll let you comment 1 second. I think you're talking about SHIP, the State Health Improvement Plan, and what the SHIP is recommending relative to food instability and housing. Or is there something else that you're referencing?
yeah,
Steve, go ahead.
I think, Tammy, what you're referencing is the ability for Medicaid to offer 1115 waivers, specifically related to housing insecurity and housing. So Guy has reached out to me, and
good.
I have given him a whole bunch of ideas on maybe what we can do with the 1115, specifically related to a bunch of our partners here with DEMIS, DDS, CSSD. I think that, and there was a fourth, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. So yes, DOH is part of those conversations.
Cool. And I know that there are other discussions happening around chess. And I don't know, Steve, I know you're a busy guy, but I wonder if one of these days I might be able to pick your brain about how we can move forward more successfully in a partnership, more so than I think maybe we had in the past on that program. Just because I really think that the services can really make a humongous difference for everyone's population. And how can we make it merry so that we can continue to serve? It's all the same people. I mean, really, at the end of the day. So we are fixing our stuff. We're working on piece by piece, but I think that there's going to be some more discussions that need to take place, and there might be discussions happening. I'm kind of like a little bit on the outside, but also still there. So I'll bother you at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, I have your email. Unfortunately for you, I have your
sometimes I
email.
work for you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Tammy and Steve. And Steve, as you move that initiative forward, can you make sure you keep us in the loop?
Yeah, it's really in the baby stages.
Understood.
So
Understood.
we're nowhere near anything at this point.
Great. All right. Anyone else, please feel free. Comments, questions, concerns about the plan or the department's priorities for the coming year. Commissioner Dykes, please introduce yourself and your agency.
I think
Oh,
not
wrong
Commissioner
one.
Dykes.
Oh, it's
That's wrong Dykes.
Oh, wrong Dykes.
I appreciate.
I was gonna say
promotion.
Katie looks very different
Yeah,
nowadays.
I was gonna say I saw Dykes. I thought it was Commissioner Dykes. My
I
apologies,
appreciate
Mackie.
the promotion.
Really,
No, it's,
introduce yourself for the
No,
folks
I'm
who don't
the-
know you.
We actually had the state at one point. They had to, for those that don't know, I'm Mackie Dykes. I'm the Vice President of Financing Programs at the Connecticut Green Bank. I am actually officially designated by the state of Connecticut in a letter as the spouse of lesser rank to my wife, Commissioner Dykes, who Michael uh, uh, thought it confused me for. But just real quick, I'm with the, as I said, the Connecticut Green Bank. We're relatively new to conversations like this, so a pretty basic question just for some context. So the budget numbers that you presented, especially it looked like total, it was over 400 million of state investment. How does that compare to last year?
Oh, great question. It's slightly more than last year. I want to say, if you look at this total of 355, I think last year's total was 315.
Okay, great.
So about another 40 million or so.
Thank you.
Rough number.
Okay.
If you're looking for a more precise number, we can certainly get it for you, Mackie.
No. I was just broadly curious.
Yeah.
And then really just a general comment. Just want to thank you, Michael, and DOH and everyone else, the other agencies here, CHAFA in particular, that's been working with us on trying to increase clean energy deployment, primarily solar, as well as the efficiency of these, as we make these investments in these new and existing properties. Want to make sure we're producing as much clean, cheap energy as property and reducing the operating expense through energy efficiency as possible to reduce the energy burden on these tenants. I just want to thank you all for all the work that you've done with us towards that goal so far.
Thank you, Mackie, and appreciate it. And one clarification I should with regard to the budget. Last year's budget would have included the emergency, about $200 million in emergency rental assistance dollars, which is not reflected here. But what is reflected here is the governor's commitment to what we call middle income housing, what other people call workforce housing, and the new Time to Own initiative, which is an emphasis on promoting home ownership again to middle income households. So it is in fact a more significant investment on the state side than on the federal side because of that exchange of what was COVID money and is now in fact state investment. So, but thank you.
Great, thank you.
And I want to reiterate, for those who don't know, our agency strongly believes in interagency collaboration, cooperation, and participation. We can't do our job without you, and we want to help you do your job better. We believe in the concept of housing first, that if someone has a stable home, all other outcomes are instantly better. We've seen that over what, 10 years, Steve? And we continue to see it improve. And as we collaborate better, as we weave our funding resources and our activities to be more in line with each other, the better outcomes across the board. So thank you all for your continued participation and cooperation with our agency. Anyone else, please, comments or questions about the plan or what we have for the coming year? All right. Well, if any, I see one. Sharonda Carlos, please introduce yourself and who you represent.
Thank you. I apologize. I did not want to be that person, right? When you're getting ready to get out for class and they have one more question. So I apologize. I was trying to close the door. Sharonda Carlos, Deputy Commissioner with the Department of Correction. Just one quick question. Well, one, Steve, first of all, it's good to see you. And please, when it comes to the 1115, just make sure, I know you named agencies, but the Department of Correction, we are in communication with DSS, and we'll be meeting with Bill Hastley on next week again. So just make sure we're part of that conversation. But Mike, just a quick question in regards to the draft, and as it pertains to the returning citizens. Thank you, because we were able to take advantage of the rapid housing, especially during the pandemic. So we appreciate those collaborative efforts. But can you elaborate a little more if they're a part of or any consideration? So as you know, we have our halfway houses. We do have, just areas for a certain amount of time, we'll say housing for a limited amount of time, but just in an effort to combat homelessness, we do have a population where when they do have felony charges, they're not able sometimes to go back with their loved ones, especially with Section 8. So just trying to see how this specific population fits in.
So the one that comes to mind is a little more limited than the general population that you're talking about. Our RHP, the Recovery Housing Program, we are working on a pilot with CSSD. And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought you'd started to engage DOC in that conversation as well, to create opportunities for individuals coming out of those institutionalized settings who also have a substance use issue. RHP is specifically for that population group, those in recovery. We're going to be producing units, cross my fingers, over the next year or so, under the RHP program. I don't know of a general opportunity for us to deal with your just general population coming out without a substance use problem. But we should talk because we are always looking for better ways to work with our sister agencies. If you have a housing need, we want to talk about how we can help you fill it. So let's try to connect in the next month or so, because we will have we will have resources in the new year, and it's a question of how we can best deploy them in collaboration
And
with your.
appreciate that. And I know Steve is probably going to come in, and he's done great. He works very well with our director of reentry services. When I served in my previous capacity, Steve definitely has been a resource, but just want to think about that. And again, we're able to up to 18 months to provide that assistance to them while they're getting back on their feet, getting employment, as you know. But just want to make sure beyond that, just we're doing our due diligence to just make sure they're securing some appropriate and long-term housing. So thank you for that. And I'll make sure my executive secretary sends an email so we can get on the calendar. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Anyone else? We have plenty of time. So this is not last call, I'll say it that way. I don't want to hold anybody up if you have priorities. I know we are all out straight this time of year with the legislative session underway. I will speak for myself when I say trying to track all the legislative activity that's going on out there is a little harrowing this year. I had commented to someone a while back. I have not seen it like this since the year of housing, which was 1989. We have had more housing legislation this year than I can remember in my lengthy career, and it's overwhelming at times. So if anybody needs to leave, please don't hesitate. But again, this is not your only opportunity. We would welcome any written comment or question on the plan through May 22nd. It is our hope that shortly after that, we finalize and make our submission to HUD for the coming year.
Mike, this is Tanya Hughes with the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities. How are you today?
I'm well, Tanya. Pleasure to see you again.
Great to see you as well. I just wanted to let you know that I've been in talks with the head of our housing unit as well as the legal experts at our agency, and we will be reviewing the plan and providing you with comments. And we'll do that before your due date of May 22nd. So thank you for the opportunity to collaborate with your agency on this important endeavor.
Fantastic. Appreciate it, Tanya. Appreciate your participation. Not to throw you guys under the bus, but you need to check your website.
Yes.
Your list of, and the terminology just went in and out of my head. Protected classes is not up to date.
That's interesting. Okay, I will. We've been constantly working on the updates, and for some reason there's a glitch and things aren't sticking, but I do have a new tech team lead, and he's actively working on updating our website.
Great.
So thank you for that comment, and I
No,
will share that.
Listen, we refer people to your website on a regular basis.
So we need it to be accurate.
Yeah, so you know,
Absolutely.
but,
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike.
no problem, Tanya. Good to see you, and thanks again.
Sure.
I see something in the chat. Let me look real quick. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Tammy. Again, if you need to run, please. We appreciate the time and effort and energy you've put in already. But if you have comments, please, don't be shy. All right, before I call it, Deputy Commissioner, anything you would like to add in closing?
Of course I do. However, I think I want to take a little bit more time to look through the entire report. I'm so happy that DC Carlos mentioned justice impacted individuals and their transition into the community. In addition, I think deepening our focus and partnership with DEEP as it relates to environment, lead, et cetera, all that stuff, as well as transportation, is a real big one. But I think the work that you all are doing, Michael and Laura and the rest of the folks from our team, thank you. And I look forward to our public hearing session. I think we have 2 more, right, Michael?
I will defer to Laura.
One?
I think we have one more, Laura,
Just
right?
one, right? Okay.
No, this was it. We had a
Oh,
public meeting.
this is the last one.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
In
had a
terms of-
public, a community, and a state roundtable.
Right. So, Deputy Commissioner, we do have another hearing,
Got it.
but that is specifically on the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Allocation Plan. That is a legislatively mandated hearing where they, in fact, do talk about the whole plan. So
Yeah.
I understand the focus for that one is on the CDBG allocation plan, but we do generally talk about and get questions on the overall action plan as well.
Got it. Well, you know, I'm just super excited as a former legislator. I agree with you, Michael. This is the year of housing and the year of partnerships, collaboration, because I think one person said it already. We're all serving some of the same folk, if not more. And this is our opportunity to really take advantage of the resources that we've been given. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thanks again, Michael.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. On that note, unless anybody has anything else you want to add, I want to thank you all again for your time, interest, and participation, both pre-draft and now that the draft is out. We look forward to your comments, your continuing cooperation and collaboration. We couldn't be successful in what we are doing without your help, and we want to help you to be successful for your client populations as well. Everyone have a great day. Be safe. We apparently have a good weekend coming up, although between now and then it's going to be a little wonky. So have a great day, folks. Thanks again.
Bye. Thank you.